Hello, my friends. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that we should build a bridge between philosophy and science? If you believe so, then how should we achieve this? If this is the first time you watch my episodes, just so you know, I'm making a summary series now. That means even if you never watched any of my other videos before, there will be no obstacles for you to understand this episode. Please give me a chance to find out if you resonate with what I think. A few days ago, I went to London and I visited Natural History Museum, British Museum, and National Art Gallery. And I saw that every painting, every art, every object have so detailed explanation about what is this type, what is this category. Well, you might think this is just natural. What's the problem? We get used to put different objects to different categories. Is there a problem? And when we hear concepts like energy and matter, we automatically put them to the category of science. But actually, if we trace back to the history, to a lot more ancient time, we will find out that this kind of distinction is not necessary. It's more like that when we want to study an object more detail, we deliberately make a box and put them into the box. It's not inherently supposed to be like that. Not really. As a matter of fact, in ancient time, all these concepts like energy, matter, consciousness, they were never separately considered as a technical term. It was never like that, because they were always considered in a bigger picture, in a more holistic perspective. That means no matter is matter, energy, or consciousness, or manifestation, all of this, they were never separated islands, never separated aspects. And more importantly, this more ancient perspective is not purely rational abstract reasoning. Rather, it is a way of understanding that simultaneously involves both reason and emotion. It's not just about explaining the world. It is also calling us to experience existence itself. And this is why, when we understand this kind of concepts from ancient perspective, they will always trigger our deepest emotion and our cognitive understanding. Because our rationality and emotion, they were never truly separate, nor opposites. And this is the true non-duality. So when we look back all those brilliant philosophical traditions in ancient civilizations, we'll find such a stunning resonance. Even they use different language, even different system, but they are all trying so much to understand existence in such a holistic perspective. In these traditions, matter were never some kind of solid, cold entity, and our consciousness were never some kind of subjective illusion. In fact, they constitute a reality that is mutually permeated. Firstly, let's see Daoism. So what exactly is Dao? Dao is not an entity. It's not subjective consciousness. Dao is what? Dao is what supports all the manifestation, including all entities and subjective consciousness. So even just by understanding the definition of Dao itself, it already transcends the dualistic understanding of matter versus consciousness. In Taoist thought and later traditional Chinese medicine, qi is understood as both energy and the underlying basis of matter, while also serving as the carrier of life and conscious activity. So it means that when qi is manifested, consciousness and matter are also manifested. When qi is dissolving, matter and consciousness are also dissolving. So matter and consciousness are merely the manifestations of the qi or Dao in different layers, and they interacting each other all the time, all along. Taoism also emphasized that the human body is a microcosm, while the universe is a macrocosmic body. There is no absolute separation between subject and object, but rather an integrated flow of relational becoming. So if you are familiar with Indian philosophy, my friend, you could already see, oh my God, how close this understanding to ancient India philosophy. Now let's discuss ancient India. What is the core understanding from ancient Veda, from ancient Upanishad? That which is Atma is Brahman. So what is Brahman? In Upanishad, Brahman is something can never be limited by some object. And Brahman is not matter, it's not something solid. Also, it's not a local consciousness. But Brahman is also the foundation of all existence. It's what makes all the manifestation possible. And all the existence are not created by Brahman. It's the manifestation of Brahman itself. About this, we discussed a lot in previous episode. If you are interested, please have a look. So if we see it in another words, that is, the distinction, the difference between the individual me and the whole universe, it's in essential level, it's not real. And the distinction between matter and consciousness is not essentially real, because we are all manifested in the same field, in the same relational field, under the same principle, even the same divinity. So how can we always separate them as different islands? That is not natural. In later Indian philosophy, for example, in the metaphor of Indra's net, the world is described as a holistic network in which all elements mutually reflect one another. So, Upanishad was never about materialism or idealism. It was never like that. It's always about the non-divided nature of being. There is also another very important insight from ancient India Upanishad, but it often gets ignored nowadays. That is the understanding of prana. Prana is not just about breath or physiological energy. It's been understood as the fundamental vitality that permeates the universe and life, serving as the medium connecting the body, mind, and existence itself. In Upanishad, prana is not solid matter, nor abstract consciousness, but is what makes matter become solid, what makes consciousness can be manifested. It is such an important and powerful dynamic strength, dynamic flow. And in Upanishad, it described precisely how our function of our body, including our organs and thoughts, they all rely on prana. When prana left or dissolved, the manifestation of our life also dissolved. That means prana is the condition of our life can be manifested, not a part of this manifestation as a beings. It's the being itself. So the concept of prana represents a very typical non-dual understanding of the existence. It permeates everything. It's within our breath, it's inside of our heart. It's also in our nervous system, in our entire body. This is the strength, this is the original strength of all the manifestation of this world and of ourselves. It connects matter and consciousness. When we eat food, food becomes energy and support our thought, support our breath, and it will affect our mind and affect our understanding and free will. So the body, matter, and the mind, consciousness, are not two separate systems, but operate as a continuous process through prana. Prana is not a thing, it's the flow itself. It's the dynamic manifestation of relationship. This is how deep the insight is about. And of course, it's so easy to see now when we're comparing the concept of prana from ancient India and the concept of qi or Dao from ancient China. They are the same thing. It both represents the energy of life, the energy of manifestation. They connect our matter, body, and our consciousness. And how it manifests, how it works, is by flowing, is by rhythm, is by our breath. So they both represent the non-duality in a perfect level. And now let's talk about Buddhism. So in Daoism and ancient Upanishad, we already said we have concepts like prana, Dao, and qi. It's by affirming to suggest that yes, this is that. In such a way, we express what the existence is about. And Buddhism, just using the different method, is by negating. But in fact, what they're talking about is the same thing. Is that infinite potential of manifestation. It's what supports everything to be manifested. It's that thing that you cannot really limit it in such a solid object or even just suggest it's just consciousness. You cannot, because it's the infinite potential, which is far beyond the distinction, the dualistic understanding of matter and consciousness. It's just that in Buddhism, we use this method of neti-neti, which is by denying what is not to suggest what it is. So essentially, in Buddhism, we call this shunyata. This is why I always say that. In different systems, we just use different language to express the same understanding, the same resonance of the same reality. This is why there is no such distinction, such conflict that we cannot fix. There is no such thing. Because we are all talking about the same thing, essentially. And now let's talk about ancient Greece. Heraclitus is often associated with the idea that everything flows, emphasizing that reality is fundamentally characterized by constant change. He uses fire not as a mere physical substance, but as a symbol of transformation, energy, and underlying order. At the same time, he introduced the concept of logos, the rational structure or ordering principle of the cosmos. In this sense, Heraclitus already suggests a unity in which matter, fire, and rationality, logos, are two aspects of the same underlying dynamic structure. Not only, Stoicism proposes that the universe is permeated by pneuma, a principle that is both material and rational at the same time. In this sense, pneuma functions as an underlying, unifying essence that structures all reality, making it strikingly close to the Chinese concept of qi, Dao, and ancient India's prana. And now, my friend, don't you feel even just a little bit emotional when you find out all of this resonance and commonality in ancient time? They all reject understanding the reality as dualistic way. They reject the dualistic understanding of matter and spirit. Instead, they always understand matter, energy, consciousness as a continuous spectrum, not isolated islands. They also understand the individual as a beautiful manifestation of the whole. Universe is something alive. It's not a dead thing or a machine. It's a dynamic process. It's a dynamic flowing. and manifestation. It's simply beautiful. Ancient wisdom never tried to divide this world into different fields, because this is just one field. And in this field, everything is interconnected. Everything is mutually manifesting, no matter its consciousness or matter. And existence itself is a relational manifestation. In China, it's called Tao. In India, it's called Brahman or Shunyata. And in ancient Greece, it's Logos and fire. And these are not different answers. They are just the same underlying understanding which is expressed through different culture, different language. But they all pointing towards the same ocean of the realization of oneness. To me, this is always the most fascinating part about ancient wisdom. And I deeply admire it. And I'm very sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. In fact, along the development of science, we are also trying very hard to return to this ancient wisdom. From mechanistic reductionism to field theory and system theory, science is trying to reflect and have a more holistic perspective to include different dynamic and complicated relational structures. And this is the insight of ancient wisdom. And all of this we discussed is exactly the reason why we need to reflect the relationship between science and philosophy. There were never, ever two camps. It's just the same reality in different layers manifested in different aspects. They are also the product of relationship itself. It's just they unfold, they manifest, they develop in different historical backgrounds. And they mutually building each other, enhance each other. So just like last episode, we're talking about this natural rhythm, this cycle. In this part is also a cycle. We just say from a point, we know that it's beginningless. So at a point, that human being, we considered the whole existence in such a holistic perspective. This time, we don't separate subject and object, separate consciousness and matter. And this is the very intuitive, holistic understanding. But then we start to divide these things by distinction, so we can more clearly, detailedly analyzing, make distinction between this and that. So this natural reason itself is very much like the process when we draw something. Firstly, we have a very holistic understanding about what we are going to draw in our mind. And then we start to draw the detail. We zoom in to every detail. But then we got to go back. We got to zoom out to see the whole picture again. So we can make sure we didn't draw a detail wrong. Otherwise, if you draw a very beautiful eye, but if this is in the wrong place, then the whole picture is ruined. This is why we have to often zoom out to see the whole picture. And this is the natural rhythm. We zoom in and zoom out all the time. This cycle is not just in art, it's also in science and philosophy. In some stage, we emphasize a lot on holistic understanding, just like Daoism, or even in philosophy about this unifying field. They are all very holistic understanding, holistic pursuit. And then in other stage, we'll try to emphasize the detail, the logic, and evidence. We go to all the very strict rigors to prove everything, to get all the data that we needed, all the theory we needed. So all these two different stages is a natural rhythm. You're just repeating each other, repeating all the time. However, when these two tendencies go to extreme, they will be imbalance. If we only talk about oneness and put it in such an extreme level, abstract and hang it in another side, then it will be agnosticism or anti-intellectualism. Eventually, slide into relativism. In the extreme form, of course, it will be nihilism. In another hand, if we only emphasize on reductionism and we completely ignore the holistic perspective, then this world will be cut to pieces, meaningless, icily cold, solid, without any point. And relationship and experience will be denied. And this is the part which is so funny, that no matter you go to extreme, this side or that side, it leads to the same consequences, which is nihilism. Maybe I shouldn't say it's interesting, because it's something very serious that we should reflect on ourselves. And now, I would like to express something deep from my heart, my friend. You might notice I often use the language of science to express something seemingly belongs to the field, the theme of philosophy or spirituality. So people are confused. Why don't you directly use that language then? Because I'm trying very hard to build this bridge. We need this bridge very, very much nowadays. Nowadays, we just put things in different categories, but we are less and less consider the connection between them. I want to say that there is no category we should put for love, for connection, for resonance and relationship, because they transcend all of these categories. They are the oneness. We cannot limit them in a specific field or a specific box. It's impossible, and it's simply not the right thing to do as well. Nowadays, when you express things like this, it's so oftenly people would label you as sentimental or irrational. It's like, if you want to talk about science, just talk about science. Don't talk about those things. Just give me the logic, give me the data, give me the evidence. Otherwise, you are just being sentimental. You are just being emotional. You should go do art rather than talk about science. And this is how divided our minds are nowadays. In another hand, we encourage rationality, we encourage technology, data, and even materialism and sensory pleasure. It's like these things you shouldn't deny. If you deny the sensory pleasure or materialism, you are denying humanity. We are human, we are like this. We like to enjoy. But when we try to express love, resonance, kindness, or even the deep admiration towards the divinity itself, we become so cautious because we are so scared to being labeled as you are just an irrational person. And the consequences is manifesting right now. More and more feeling of loneliness. Even you live in a big city with more and more population, but you might feel more and more lonely. And a deep void of meaningless. You don't know what's the meaning of life. You don't know what is this all about. It seems like the world is just about matter, it's just about data, it's just about you are nothing even important. And the awakened relationship between people, between human being and human being add other lives like animal, and with this world. That's why we have such an extreme materialism. We just take from this land, take from the planet, take from the earth, don't care about the consequences. But you know what? Our longing is still there. Our longing to express love, to express relationship, to express our admiration of divinity. But we cannot because we are afraid to be labeled as this, or that. So sometimes we need to use extreme way to express this, like alcohol, sensory pleasure, or even drugs, just to express it in such an extreme way that we finally can have an exit from this society. Isn't this something that we should reflect on? And I just want you to know, if you ever felt this way, never be afraid to express. Never be afraid to express this deepest feeling in your heart. this holistic understanding of the whole existence of yourself, of this world. Because this is the deepest wisdom a person can ever have. You cannot reject this. It's your nature you want to express this, the harmonious relationship, the harmonious love, and your deep admiration for the divinity of this entire existence. Never afraid to express this. This is why I use different language, science, philosophy, Chinese, English. I don't care. I use everything I could to express this. And I know it's possible for the understanding. It's possible for the resonance and to build this bridge. Because no matter what language we use, no matter what, we are pointing towards the same reality. And because this reality is the foundation of all of us, we have full potential, full possibility to have resonance, to have this reconciliation. There is no such thing as isolated island, only if we separate them deliberately in our mind. And this kind of ignorance is something we are aiming to remove. And we can do this. And to me, this is the full potential of humankind. That we are not only just capable of analyzing this world, we can also experience it. Not just about separate everything to different category. We can also understand it in such a holistic way. As long as we want, as long as we put our effort and our courage, and all of this seemingly impossible division will be removed. We will be able to reconnect as we are, as the oneness itself. No matter we use which way, we are flowing through which river, science, religion, philosophy, or even art, we are all flowing towards the same direction, understanding and love. And I will always, always keep believing that this understanding is the ultimate freedom, is the liberation. Freedom is not something we can gain because we have it already. It's covered by our ignorance. Sorry about my voice. I think I just lose my voice now. But now you see, so far we did a summary series about understanding oneness, understanding beginninglessness, and to have this courage to build the bridge between different fields. All of this, none of them are easy. They are all the ultimate challenge for humanity. But it requires our wisdom, courage, and faith. If we really want that, we can have it. So let's try this together in this river, in this journey of beginningless. Let's just hold on to this faith and hold on to this same goal to join this same ocean eventually. And this ocean is love, is understanding, is mutual respect and resonance. And this is the ultimate freedom. Thank you, my friend. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.